All right, welcome back. We are going to be starting Unit 3, Lesson 5, Multiplication or Division, page 93. Please write that down in your black notebook and we will begin. The first page is really just asking you to look at three different cases and then compare them greater, equal, or less. So in case 1, and you don't have to copy this down, it says multiply 4 by a number greater than 1, 4 times 1.5, which is 6. Is the product less than, greater than, or equal to 4? And you would say it's greater than. Case 2, multiply 4 by 1. 4 times 1 is 4, so the product is equal. And in case number 3 is 4 times 0.5, which is 2. Remember, 0.5 is 5 tenths. That 5 is in the tens place. And 5 tenths is a fraction of 1/2. And half of 4 is 2, so it would be less than. So if you look at what they're saying here, 6 greater than, 4 equal to, 2 less than. All right, let's move on. Let's do 5 and 6. So I think we're on the next page, page 94. 5 and 6. Multiply or divide. For each problem, decide whether you need to multiply or divide, then solve. So let's look at number 5. A wallet-sized photo measures 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. What is the area of a wallet-sized photo? You're dealing with area. Hopefully you recognize that when you're dealing with area, you are multiplying. So this problem is to multiply, and we are going to multiply 3.5 times 2.5. 3.5 times 2.5. So go ahead and write that down. And then hopefully you're saying to yourself, well, if that was 3 and if that was 2, my answer would be 6. 5 times 5 is 25. We group the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. I like to move over. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1 and 7. So 5, 7, and 8. Multiplication and addition go together. I have 2 digits, so 8.75, which is very close to 6 inches squared. All right, let's take a look at number 6 here. Mr. Diaz paid $5.96 for 4 pounds of broccoli. What was the price per pound? All right, price per pound, dealing with division, and we're going to divide 4 into 5.96. Extend that out. Always, always, always bring your decimal up. 4 goes into 5 once. And subtract 1 and 9. Bring the 9 down. 4 times 16. Subtract 3. Division and subtraction go together, and your last digit is a 6. That goes in there evenly. Subtract with no remainder, and your answer would be to divide. And the answer is $1.49 per pound. All right, let's move on. There's your answers here. Multiply 8.75 square inches, divide 149. Amber, this is on page 95. Number 11. Amber earns $8.50 per hour bagging groceries. Josie, a cashier, earns 1.3 times as much as Amber. Does Josie earn more or less? When you multiply 8.5 times 1.3, it's 3/10 more than a whole. So Josie makes more money. How much more? You'd multiply 850 times 1.3. Again, 8 times 1 would be 8. 9 times the 1 would be 9, so I'm hoping you realize your answer is close to the $8, $9 range, maybe a little bit more. 0, 15, carry to 1, 24, and 25. Move over one place, 0, 5, and 8. And then add multiplication and division, 5, 0, 10, and 11, 1, 2, and 3, so $11.05. All right, let's move on. $11.05. Page 96. Solve without doing any calculations. Which is greater? Number 16, you have 18 times 76, or 76 divided by 18. Anytime you multiply whole numbers together, you're going to end up with a larger answer than dividing whole numbers. So your answer for this one should be 18 times 76. The reason for, again, you're multiplying whole numbers instead of dividing by, or dividing whole numbers, not dealing with any decimals, anything less than a whole. If you look at the write-up, you can maybe it explains it better. 18 times 76. In multiplication, we are finding 18 groups of 76. So you're taking 18 groups of 76. In division, we are breaking those 76 into 18 groups. Now, look at number 11 here. I'll go on number 17. Which is greater, 0.37 times 45, or 45 divided by 0.37? Now, one of them is taking 37 hundredths times 45. The other one is taking 45 divided by 37 hundredths. Hopefully you're starting to recognize that if you look at this problem, it says which is greater, 45 divided by 0.37. Why? Let's look at it here. 45 divided by 0.37. In multiplication, we are finding part of 45, because it's part, 37 hundredths. In division, we are finding how many parts less than 1 are in 45. How many parts less than 1, 37 hundredths, which is less than 1, are in 45. All right, so we did one of these in class the other day. How many decimal places? Use the fact that 39 times 74 is 2,886 to solve each problem. So, again, you're multiplying 7,400 times a number that is less than a whole. You know your answer is going to have a 2, an 8, an 8, and a 6 in it. And you know that you're multiplying 0.39 times 7,400. So it's 39 hundredths of that. So your answer is going to be either larger or smaller than 2,886. What do you think? Actually, I should say larger, smaller, or equal to. Now, it's 0.39 times 7,400, and before it was 39 times 74. So if you look at the zeros back here, to get this over, it's really taking the same, it's actually the same problem. 39 times 74, which would give you the 2,886. Let's look at number 22. 0.39 times 74. We know that our answer is going to have a 2, an 8, an 8, and a 6 in it. Now, it's 39 hundredths of 74. It's not 39 hundredths of 7,400. So you're moving 2 places to the left. So it'll be 28.86 because it's 39 hundredths. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Let's just look at the answers right here, kind of give you an idea. So here you have 0.39 times 7,400, which is the same as 2,886. Here you have 0.39 times 740. Okay, so now again you're taking less than 1, than 100%, than one whole, 100%. So your decimal is moving over 2,886. Again, the number 22, which we did, 0.39, 74, moving over 2 places. 39 times 7.5, 7.4, 7.4 moving over 1 place. 2 places. Okay. All right, let's move on to page 98. So go ahead and draw a line in your black notebook and write Unit 3, Lesson 6, comparing, adding, and subtracting with same units. And this is fractions. So here we go. We have bars here that are representing 1 whole, 2 parts, 1/2, 2 over 2 together makes 1 whole, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 3/3 makes 1 whole. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 4/4 equals 1 whole, and so on, 1/5 and 1/6. Okay? So now, actually goes on further, 1/7, 0.1, and you have 10 of those, so 10 times 0.1 is 1 whole. Down below it says the greater the dividing symbol is, the smaller the unit, fraction or decimal will be. The fraction, denominator, and the decimal place show the dividing number. So a greater denominator or a decimal place means the whole is divided into smaller parts. Okay, so 1/4 is greater than 3. Excuse me, 4 is greater than 3, but 1/4, now you have, let's change that. How come I can't change that? Oh, never mind. Here we go. How about that? 1/4 and 1/3, 1/3 is greater. Now here's another way that I like to solve these problems. It's called cross multiplication. Take the numerator of this fraction with the denominator of that fraction, 1 times 3, multiply them, and 4 times 1, multiplying, and now you can see that 4 is greater than 3. 100 is greater than 10, but 0.01 is less than 0.1. Why? This is in the 10th place, and it's that much closer to getting to 1 whole. 1,000 is greater than 100, but 0.001 and 0.01. Again, this one is closer to getting out of the hole, so it's greater. Oops, sorry about that. If you scroll down, I don't know if this is the page. Yep. Less than, less than, less than. All right. Now, numerator and denominator. In your black notebook, go ahead and that's not what I wanted. Write down numerator and denominator N and D. N over D, I like to remember North Dakota. North Dakota N on top, denominator on bottom. Numerator on top. So the denominator of fraction tells the number of equal parts the whole is divided into, and therefore the number of unit fractions that are made. The numerator tells how many of these unit fractions the fraction represents. So if you look right down here, 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, and so on, 7/7. 0/7, 1/7, 2/7, 3/7, 4/7, 5/7. So 5 of the 1/7, 5 times 1/7 is 5/7. So it's showing you here, here's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. It's just circling 3 plus 2 is 5, and the denominators are alike, so it's just 5/7. Here it's showing you again 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, all the way to 1 whole. But if you were going to do 0.3, which is 1, 2, 3, right here, plus 2 more, which they circled, and now you're up to 0.5. 0.3 plus 0.2 equals 0.5. 5 of the tenths, 5 times 0.1. All right, copy the example. You don't have to copy the definition. The number above the bar in a fraction, it indicates the number of unit fractions the fraction represents. Copy this example. In the fraction 3 over 5, the numerator is 3. 3 over 5 numerator. Okay? And then down, and then it goes on to say what you don't have to copy. The numerator shows that the fraction represents 3/5. 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. Denominator. The number below the bar in a fraction indicates the number of unit fractions made by dividing the whole into equal parts. Example, in the fraction 3/5, the denominator is 5. 3 over 5 denominator. Copy that down. It represents the 5 unit fractions, the 5/5, made by dividing the whole into 5 equal parts. Copy those two definitions down, or at least the examples for the two definitions. And let's move on. Alright, so here we have some problems to work. In your black notebook, let's do a couple of these. Number 4, 3/9 plus 2/9. Now, because they have like denominators, it's as simple as adding. 3 plus 2 is 5, and the denominator remains the same. 3 plus 2 is 5, and the denominator remains the same. Now, in 0.03 plus 0.02, the 0, the 0, and 3 plus 2 is 5. Same thing with subtraction. So now you have 4, 5, and 6. Same denominator. 5 minus 3 is 2 over 7. 5 minus 2 is 3 over 7. Copy these down, please. Number 9, 5 minus 3 is 2 over 9. To add or subtract fractions with like denominators, add or subtract the numerators. Pretty simple. To add or subtract decimals with like places, add or subtract numbers in their places. That's what it's saying here. For example, number 14, go ahead and copy that down as well. If you were to put that right there, you would have 0.03. Alright. And those are the answers there. Comparing, adding, and subtracting with the same unit, page 101. Discuss adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Now we have a mixed number. Add mixed numbers by adding whole numbers and adding fractions. You may need to make a new group after adding. Example, 1 3/5. So you have one whole, and then you have 3/5 of a whole, plus 2 2/5. You have two wholes plus 2/5 of a whole. Now because they both have like denominators of 5/5, it's actually a pretty simple problem. I like to set them up like this, so this is the way I would show you to do it. 1 3/5 plus 2 2/5. 3 plus 2 is 5/5. 1 plus 2 is 3. Now, 5/5 is equivalent to one whole, so really it's 3 plus 1, which is 4. So copy down this as an example and write down just adding and subtracting mixed numbers. And then we'll work a few more. Subtract mixed numbers by ungrouping a 1 if needed, then subtract whole numbers and subtract fractions. So here you got 2 2/5 minus 1 3/5. The denominators are like, which is good, so copy that problem down. I prefer to set it up this way, but you can look at both ways. Ungroup is what it's saying. So you have 2 2/5 and 1 3/5. Now, what you have to do here, because you can't subtract 3 from 2, so what they are doing is borrowing. But when they borrow, they're borrowing a whole. So when you borrow from the 2, you actually make it 1. What you are borrowing is 5 over 5. So you had 2/5. So let me just pull this out. And you borrowed 5/5. So that's where they ended up with 7/5. And now you can subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4/5. Remember, you borrow from the 2, so you really only have 1 now. And 1 minus 1 is 0. And your final answer is just plain 4/5. Now this method over here and these methods work as well, and I would suggest you take a look at both of them also in your black notebook. You can copy the examples down if you want. Same steps here. Alright, so let's do a few more. This is page 102. Complete each statement with a greater or equal 1/5, 1/4. Now remember, 5 would be greater than 4, but in fractions, the 4 is actually greater. And another way to do it is 5 times 1 is 5. 4 times 1 is 4, and 5 is greater than 4. Let's do number 16. 1/8, 1/9. Again, you would think 1/9 would be greater, but actually 1/8 is. 8 times 1 is 8. 9 times 1 is 9, and 9 is greater than 8. Okay? Let's do 23. Complete each statement with greater or less than. 2 4/5, 3 1/5. So right here, if you look at it, the 3 is larger than a 2, so that way it can just go that way. Same thing with this. The 6 is larger than a 7, so you know that it's greater. 2.9, 3.1. Well, the 3 is larger than a 2, so it's greater. 4 and 3/7, 4 and 6/7. Now the 4s are the same here, but now you look at the 3/7 and the 6/7, because they have the same denominator, 6 is greater than 3. There's your answer. It says for mixed numbers, if the whole numbers are different, the mixed number will, with the greater whole number is greater. If the whole numbers are the same, the number with the greater fraction or decimal part is greater, and that's what it was doing right here. All right. And you can see those are the answers there. So for homework in class, you have 3.6. Again, you are completing 1/3 greater than less than 1/2. Again, you would assume that the 3 is greater, but when you're dealing with fractions, the smaller number is greater. And if you don't believe me, 8 times 1 is 8, and 6 times 1 is 6, and 8 is greater than 6. That's just an easy way to remember it. When they have like denominators, you just add the numerators. 2 plus 5 is 7 over 9. And same thing with subtraction. If they have like denominators, 4 minus 1 is 3 over 5. And then the same thing with mixed numbers. 2 and 1, 2 and 3, 2/3, 2/3. So you have, I like to set them up like this, 2 and 2/3 plus 1 and 2/3. Add them up. 2 and 2 is 4/3. Now that's what they call an improper fraction, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So then we have to change that to a mixed number. 4/3, 4 out of 3. 4/3 is actually equivalent mathematically. If you would take the 3 into the 4, you end up with 1 and 1/3. So 4/3 is equivalent to 1 and 1/3 plus the 3 you have, and then your final answer would be 4 and 1/3. Okay? Oops. Thought I had the 3. Let's see if I can get back to 3.5. I don't know if I have those in here or not. Oh, I do. 3.5, homework, make up a letter puzzle finger might write describing an error made by multiplying or dividing. And then you have to write your response. And then remembering, you have knowing the length of the base and the area. You have to divide to find the height. And round to the nearest tenth. And then on 3.6, remembering, looks like we have problems like Sarah can read 4 pages in 20 minutes. If she continued to read at the same rate, how many minutes will it take her to read 7 pages? So 4, 7, looks like it's a factor puzzle. Oops, and then 20, and then you have to solve. All right, so tomorrow in class you'll work on 3.5 and 3.6.